the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network.
You make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven.
A mix of today's hits and hard-to-find favorites, combined with the most entertaining and intriguing talk anywhere. This is your sound. This is the sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at uenradio.com.
Hey. You're hanging out with Claude McKnight. What's going on, peeps? I'm here. Last week we didn't have a show because they were demolishing the building. They built it back in 1 week, and it looks kind of the same, almost exactly the same. So we're here this week. We're going to have a good time. Got a very, very special, extra special guest here with me. His name is Mervyn Warren. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, hand clap for Mr. Mervyn Warren. All right. So he's going to be hanging out with me for this full 7 hour. Oh, I didn't tell you it was 7 hours, Merv?
No, you didn't happen to mention that.
Okay, so it might be about an hour.
Oh, okay.
About. So let me jump right into what's been happening for my weekend, especially yesterday. I'm going to get to the yesterday part in a minute, but for the week, everybody knows I play basketball about 5-6 times a week, and I'm in probably the best shape of my, well, I'm not going to say my life, but probably the last 10 years or so, since the two knee surgeries and all of that stuff. So I'm running, I'm feeling great, I'm jumping, I'm doing all this stuff, but an interesting thing is happening on the court these days, Merv. My confidence is shaken. I don't know what it is. I think what happens is when you get old, and I am officially old now, and you're playing with the young cats, even when your body is there and it's saying what it can do, my mind now is saying, don't do that, don't try that, don't miss that layup, don't do that. And I'm finding myself with all kinds of, I don't know what it is, but I hope that it was just last week and that it doesn't transfer into this week, because otherwise I'm going to have to retire. And nobody wants that, do they? No. We don't want that. I'm going to play till I'm about 64, I think. And pity on anyone who ends up playing with me when I'm 64. But, we'll see what happens. So, yeah, that's what's been happening. I've been sucking. I'm going to use that word. I've been sucking on the basketball court. And I can't have that. So I'll be back in there tomorrow, bright and early, 9 a.m. at LA Fitness. In Devonshire. Anybody who wants to come out there and play against me, you're going to have to be at least 52 and up, okay? None of these 30s, none of these 20s anymore, because you guys, you're running me into a fog. I can't have that. So, yeah. So, last night, I'm online. And Merv, I'm going to include you in this.
Okay.
I'm online. And the last few weeks, I've been doing these little Instagram 15-second singing videos in my car.
Okay.
Whatever song comes to my head. And, on Instagram, you can only do 15 seconds.
Right.
So I might be in the middle of whatever, and boom, it's over. I start, and it's over. Boom, it's done. And I just do it because I love to sing. And Merv, you've known me for 107 years. Mm-hmm. I sing all the time. Right. So it's not even that I'm looking for likes or whatever like that, although likes are great. They're great. This is social media. You want people to love what you do. Well, last night, this woman who I don't know literally writes on my Instagram page, "You should stop singing. You cannot sing."
You're kidding me.
She said this. And no, that's not the end. You cannot sing. And those faces that you make, I don't know what that's about. Then she said, you should just stick to looking good. And for a moment, I was totally, I was thrown off guard.
Well, now, doesn't someone have to know? Don't you have to add someone on Instagram? Like, wouldn't she have to?
Well, see, you can be private, or you can be a public person. I'm public. I don't mind people jumping in.
But wouldn't she have to know that she's looking at Claude McKnight's Instagram account?
She
or is
would
there
know
a
that.
way to just look at? Does it show you a variety?
Well, on my Instagram, it says Claude McKnight, founder of the group Take 6, blah, 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 blah. So if you do your homework and you see this, you can probably Google and say, oh, well, this guy does sing for a living.
Right.
So he's probably been paid once or twice for decades. Yes. But here's the thing, and I'm gonna throw this out there. I don't even mind if somebody doesn't like my voice. Mm-hmm. That's okay. Right. That's okay, because there's plenty of people's voices who are very successful in this business who I don't care for their voices, but to say that I just can't sing. And so I wrote back because I thought she was playing. I said, wow, thank you very much. That's very rude of you. I wrote that. See, I didn't include this in my Facebook rant. I said, "That's very rude of you." And then she wrote right back. She said, "No, not rude at all. You can't sing." And I was like, "Wow, she's being really serious." So I looked at her, the people that she is friends with or whatever. I was like, "Do I have any mutual friends?" Well, she follows my brother Brian. She follows a couple other people in my family and stuff. And I'm like, "Well, she must have an axe to grind with somebody."
Right.
I'm like, "I don't know you, lady." So, I mean, rather than have to go pop some ibuprofen or whatever like that, I just deleted her. I was like, "Man, this is uncool.
Right.
What is this about?" So then I posted the rant on my Facebook page, and it probably had the most comments of anything I've ever written on there. And I was like, "This is crazy. I must have 180 comments
Wow.
to this thing." And it's funny because some of the people are like, "Oh, it's okay, baby. You know you can sing. Tell her about your Grammys and blah, blah, blah." And I wanted to write back to each and every one of these people. I'm like, "It's okay. I'm not offended. I thought it was hilarious."
Yeah.
First of all.
Well,
I was
sometimes
like,
people do that just so they can get a reaction from you, though.
I
Yeah.
guess.
You know?
What did she want me to say, John?
I don't know, but
John,
I'm just saying.
make up something.
She just wanted your attention.
Is that what she wanted?
It was. Yeah.
Well, she got deleted. What kind of
Well,
attention is that?
it sometimes backfires.
I mean, did she want me to direct message her and ask her on a date or
But
something?
you're used
so
to
I could
getting
sing
the,
to her?
Well, you're used to getting the praise, so I think that's what it is. They write something that's opposite of the praise just to get your attention, and it works. So
I guess it did. Well, she's a star on my Facebook
they say
page.
you
I'll tell
can't
that.
feed the trolls online. That's
I
what
know,
they
right?
say, yeah.
Right. That is true. So that's how I'm going to bring you in, Merv. I'm going to bring you in as well, John, because we're all public people. And I'm sure every once in a while you run into somebody who either you know or don't know, or specifically don't know, who says something and you're like, "Wow, where did that come from? Where do you get the gall or the audacity to speak these things?" Because once upon a time, before social media, because Merv is old, he goes way back before any of that.
He doesn't look it.
Would you walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, man, you are so ugly," or "You're this or you're that"? Would you do that? Who does this stuff?
Well, the internet, people have they have a degree of anonymity. Even if you can see their pictures or whatever, there's still there's this, they're removed. Who knows where she could be in another continent, and yet the internet allows us this sort of immediate access with friends, family, and famous people, and not so famous people, whatever the case may be.
Like me.
And
Yes, not so famous.
and I think it allows people to gives them a sense of I don't know. It allows them to just sort of say anything they want, and they sort of feel.
But see, the
like
psychology
free
behind
of
that
ramification.
the psychology behind that is so fascinating to me, because as you were saying, John, is it just that you want attention? Are you sitting at your computer at home, butt naked, just saying, "You know what? I'm going to say something crazy right now."
Yeah.
And then what does that do for you?
Yeah.
Do you have a chalkboard and you write another one?
Another one took the bait.
Yeah, right. I took the bait. Thanks, John. Thanks, man. All right, I'm one of those guys now.
No. But I call them armchair anarchists.
Yeah.
And that's what they are.
That is
They're
crazy.
sitting here.
And they just do that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because even hardcore fans, people who mean well, I think sometimes, especially myself, I have to have them somewhat at arm's length. Because unless you know somebody really, really well and their family, or they're an actual friend in real life, sometimes people get too close, and when they get too close, then they start taking liberties in what it is that they can say, and they think they know you. And I'm sorry, people, the internet doesn't mean that you know me.
Right.
We can write back and forth. That doesn't mean that you know me.
Right.
It means that we're having a conversation of sorts. But you would hope that people have some kind of decorum, some kind of tact in the conversation, because if they come into your house, that's what I always liken it to. If I have a house and I have a gate around my property and I allow you past the gate into my house,
Respect.
then have some respect.
Yeah.
Don't go in there and start, changing up the drapes and not flushing the toilet and all that kind of stuff. I have to throw you out. And then don't be mad at me because you did this stuff.
No,
right?
Right.
Man, John, next time you do that to me, I'm throwing you out my house, man. So before I get into my interview, I'm going to ask both of you guys. I'm going to start with you, John. How was your week, man?
That's pretty good. Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah,
Come on, man.
it's not too exciting, but it's been okay. Yeah.
Well, I don't think the people understand that last week we didn't have a show because they were putting in the air conditioning units here.
Yeah.
And Melinda, who's not here today, sent me a picture a helicopter bringing
it in.
That was really cool,
Yeah.
man. Was it just one, or they had a bunch of
I
helicopters?
didn't see it,
You didn't see
so
it?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I'm surprised I didn't because I
Man.
follow her. So yeah, I have to look it up.
That's crazy. I
know.
was like, man, it looked like some kind of sci-fi movie or something.
Really?
Just bringing in some kind of
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah.
Just an air conditioner.
Yeah.
Just some air. It's cool in here now, right?
Yeah. Well, little. I'm still hot.
You're hot?
Yeah.
Man, I rode in here on my motorcycle, man.
Yeah.
I was hot riding in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I've been all day. so,
And
yeah.
I had to wear this long sleeve shirt because what I've realized, especially in California, man, I think the sun is closer to the earth here. Man, a brother would become a piece of bacon in 2 seconds
Yeah.
out here.
And it's
Yeah,
cold
sun
in the
is no
studio
joke.
sometimes.
It's no joke.
Yeah.
I have eczema on my arms too, so I have to be very careful. And so I can slather myself in all kinds of sun repellent and all that. Nothing works, man.
Wow.
I'll be burnt to a crisp.
Yeah.
You see this crispy dude riding a motorcycle.
Now you're telling them all information to use against
Well,
you.
see, I rode it in here, and I'm
Yeah.
going to go straight to the beach when I leave here. So anybody who's
nice.
listening, I'm
Now I
gonna,
got stalkers.
that's all right. My motorcycle's fast. I can outrace you. So just don't hit me, because there's some bad drivers out here. We talked about that a few weeks ago. That's why I have a big Harley. It's loud, and I will roar you down.
Yeah.
Mervyn Warren, what's up, man?
I'm all right, man. I'm
You
all
good?
right. I'm great. I'm great. Good
Man,
to see
tell
you.
me about your week before I get all into why you're here, brother.
Week.
Just your week, not anything past a week ago.
Actually, it was a pretty relaxing week. I finished a little a small project at the beginning of the week, and I have some things coming up. And I was like, wow, I actually have an open calendar. So I caught up. I watched a bunch of movies, Netflix, and
You watch these
all
movies
kinds
at
of
home?
stuff. At home.
Oh, you didn't go out?
Well, I had seen there wasn't anything I was dying to see. I do go to the theater,
Okay.
but just this week I
The
did. Since
theater.
we're
He
talking
said
about
the
this
theater.
week.
I go to the theater. Hey, I mean, where'd you get the accent from? All right, go ahead, man. I'm listening.
But so this week, and so I was just like, because on Netflix, like you have this what do you call it, wish list or whatever they call it, queue, or they call it the queue on Hulu.
Yeah.
And I'm always looking at this thing, going, when am I ever going to get get through this list? And it's like a weird psychological thing. Like it's like there's pressure. I look at it, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to watch these movies. But I created the list. I don't have to watch them.
The list is
But
stalking you.
this is the mind in which I'm trapped.
Wow.
So I'm like, I'm gonna knock out some of these movies. So I watched a bunch of movies at home.
You want to
just-
tell us a
just
couple that
chilled.
you saw? One.
Oh, that's a really good question.
Said, he doesn't even remember. Man, this dude is so
Some
deep
of
he
them-
can't even remember the movies
Some
he
of them
watched.
aren't memorable, I'm
Isn't that
sure,
crazy?
on Netflix because you get a whole
On the
plethora of
spot, it's
things.
like, okay,
Yeah.
what did I watch?
Come
What
on,
did I
Merv.
watch?
I've known you a long time. You're good on the spot. Come on, man.
Okay, I watched. And I said movies, but actually, technically, this is not a movie. But Orange is the New Black.
You know what? I've never seen it, and I keep everybody's
Right.
telling me that I have to see it. But I'm gonna be honest with you. After Breaking Bad, I'm having a hard time watching anything else.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Let's see. I don't know what to say. I could say something that would either push you toward it or push you away from it. I'm not sure which I should say.
Man, just say it. Just say it.
Well, it's not as good as Breaking Bad.
Oh.
But it's a good show.
Okay.
It's good.
Breaking Bad is
But
the-
if Breaking
that's the
Bad
mo-
is
oh,
your,
man.
if that's your,
That's
you
my
know, if
benchmark.
that's your litmus,
Yes.
that's your litmus test, then it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for any show ever.
Yeah.
You know?
He said
So-
ever. I like that.
Well,
I like
look
that.
what it did at the
It's
Emmys.
an amazing show.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
having said that, Orange is the New Black is very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
So don't get me wrong, very good.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually watched the whole thing. I had started the previous week, and then this week I finished it, and then I went on to some other random things.
Random. So now he can't say whatever else he was watching because it's in the
So
random file.
You binge watched. You binge watched. That right? Is that how,
Yeah.
that's what they call it? Binge watching.
Yeah, binge watch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So that was your week. I got you.
That
you had
was
a
my
couple,
week.
You had a little bit of
plus
time.
I worked out with my trainer.
Whoa. A trainer?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Tell us about how long you had a trainer, man.
I've actually had trainers since I came.
He
to,
said trainers, plural.
Well, since I moved to LA, there've been because they come in and out of your life. They move on. They decide to
Okay.
become CEOs or something, and then
Okay.
you're not training anymore. I got to find
Okay.
somebody else.
Okay.
So, but generally one at a time. But yeah, man, when I moved to LA in '93,
Wow.
to do, well, actually, I didn't move here to do Sister Act 2, but I came here to do Sister Act 2. Thinking,
Oh wow, really?
yeah, that was my first.
Love
yeah.
that movie.
Ah, thank
Yes.
you. I was in Nashville with these guys, and I was no longer with the group, but we were all still living there. And then I got this offer to work on Sister Act 2, so I came here to work on the movie, thinking I was going to return to Nashville. And in fact, I had a house designed by an architect in Nashville, and I had bought property outside of the city. In what at the time was the only subdivision anywhere in Nashville where you could build a modern home, because everything's traditional there. So I came here to work on the movie thinking I was going to go back, and I stayed. I decided not to go back. And right around that time, you meet people and you go to functions, this and that, and everybody would always say, "Where do you work out?" And I just thought that was the strangest question. And I was like, okay, this is a big deal out here. And maybe I should, so there was, I will admit.
It's like in the South, everybody's like, where do you go to church?
And
And out here it's
right,
like,
where do you go to church?
where do you work out?
Yeah.
Where do you work out?
Yeah, that's funny.
And growing up, my weight had gone up and down. I was a chunky kid, then I lost it, and then it came back. And so I was like, you know what? It can't hurt. So I found a trainer and started working out a couple times a week, and I've done it ever since.
All right.
I'm not trying to compete or anything. It just, you know what? If it's not an appointment, I won't go.
Oh. That's why you need trainers.
Yeah, that holds you accountable.
There you go.
It holds
There
me
you go.
accountable.
Yes.
Yeah, because
All right.
there are always 10 other things on my list that I
Right.
can do.
Right.
Right.
But if it's an appointment, I have
And
to
training
be
is
there.
number 11. No,
Yeah.
can't do it today. Oh, well. All right, let me kind of work backwards or from the middle right now. Anybody who doesn't know, Mervyn Warren is a gentleman that I've known now for 34 years.
Wow.
Since 1980.
That's right.
When I went to Oakwood College, it was Oakwood College then, it's Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama. I was a freshman then, and I met Mervyn, who was a high school senior at the time. Mervyn subsequently joined the group that I started. It was a quartet at the time. Mark Kibble came into that group and then introduced Mervyn to me, who joined the group, making the sixth person of the sextet. At the time, and I don't remember, we weren't called Alliance yet, right? We were, what was our name?
Well, was it Gentlemen's
Well,
Quartet?
what was Gentlemen's Estates Quartet was the 4.
Right.
When Mark came in, we had to change the name because, we
It
weren't
was
like,
no longer Quartet.
yeah, we weren't like the Blind Boys, there's 7 of them and there's says 4 or something. No, I don't know what our
That's
name
just
was
wrong.
though. Was the second name it wasn't Sounds of Distinction or something, or was it?
I
or-
don't remember. No. Oh, I don't mean to say no.
He
I don't remember.
doesn't remember.
I don't
remember
I don't
either.
remember any other names.
But here's the thing, Merv, how did I meet you? Because I don't remember. This is what I remember. When I got to Oakwood, there was a talent show that had gone on. And you and Mark, and I want to say Evangeline, and a couple other people did the Manhattan Transfer song, Smile Again. And this was
Okay.
part of...
This was before we.
This was before we started singing together. This was the first time I had seen Mark again after having known him from Buffalo, New York. So that was kind of being reacquainted with Mark. And I think I met you around that same time because I think you were playing for whatever group that was that sang that day. And then I started singing in your other group, which was
Right.
Symbolic Sound.
Yeah, and I remember singing that song, but I remember doing it with you in the group. I don't remember doing it before that.
Really?
Yeah, because I remember Alma Blackman. We should tell people she was a professor of music at the school. Brilliant. I learned many things from her. And she's no longer with us, but I. And it was a very conservative school, so they were sometimes a little nervous about anything jazzy.
They were always nervous.
Right.
Yes,
right.
anything we did.
So essentially anything we did, of course. So, but I remember doing Smile Again, and you were in the group, and Alma happened to be in the audience that time. Because
Okay.
a lot of times, if we were just singing for other students, we were good. But when faculty members were there, then there was a little,
Right,
a little
right,
something.
right.
And she was in the audience, and I was like, oh man. And I remember there was some lyric about I'm going to do something, baby. It's a Manhattan Transfer song. I just don't remember the words, but the word "baby" was in the song, which is, of course, you know,
Baby Jesus.
which
No, that wasn't it. Okay.
It wasn't
All right,
Baby
Go ahead.
of course, the word is completely benign, but in that setting, we were a little nervous. And I
Right.
remember afterwards, Alma is saying, "Oh, I loved it. It was clever." So, but you were in the group at that time. If we did it before then, I don't remember.
See, that's what I remember is hearing it before then.
Okay.
But I also, now that I'm thinking about it, remember seeing you and Mark do the piano switching thing.
Oh, yeah.
With What Kind of Love Is
What
This?
Kind- yeah.
I was like, these dudes, they're singing this song. Check this out, John. They're singing it. And I mean, this was 100 years ago. You know, technology, you know, I could be making this up. No one would ever know. But one starts singing, the verse is over. They're playing, you know, the second intro after that verse. And you see walks over to the piano. They switch places, and the next one starts singing. I'm like, what kind of parlor trick is this, man?
Parlor trick.
Super talent.
It was super talent,
Yeah.
man. And for that school, you'd have to know the school. It was like the Apollo every night. It really was. You know, it was incredible talent with everybody. So if you could do something like that, now you
Yeah.
become legendary.
And you know, we should add that a lot of us were second and third generation. You
Right,
know,
right,
your
right, right.
mom was
Yep,
there.
my
your
mom and dad
was
met there, yes.
My parents met there. You know, my recording engineer, one of them to this day, Tony Shepard, he's worked with you.
Yes,
His
yeah.
parents went to the same school. And were very close with my parents and still are. When I was in the hospital with my appendix several years ago, his parents came to see me every day. So so we all sort of inherited this this musical legacy there.
Absolutely.
And that was a lot of fun. Those were fun days.
right.
Mostly fun.
Merv, I want to talk a little bit about Symbolic Sounds and then a special blend.
Okay.
And then we'll go into the Alliance Take 6 stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Most people have heard of Symbolic Sounds, you know, people who have followed Take 6 for a long time. But it was this legendary group, and I tell you what, man, that was one of my favorite groups to ever sing it.
Thank you.
Period. I mean, incredible arrangements, incredible people. And I think because I was so young and I just I was brought into this group. I don't know if there were auditions or anything like that, but I know I kind of walked in and I was like, this stuff is incredible. Tell the audience where that came from and what it meant to you.
Well, and thank you. I've never heard you refer to the group that way, so I appreciate that. That actually, the Symbolic Sounds actually was the second or maybe even third incarnation of groups. I had my first vocal group when I was about 10. And it was there on the Oakwood campus, but as you know, but for the benefit of the audience, there's also a high school, an academy, and an elementary school. And I went through all of it, grade 1 through, through my bachelor's degree. Because my parents were professors there, and my dad was vice president, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I had a vocal group when I was about 10, which would have been fourth grade, fifth grade. And I would write songs or do arrangements, and that particular group was just 5 girls in my class. They all had nice voices, and Evangeline might have been one of them.
Okay.
She goes way, way, way back. And Margot Cooper, and
Yes.
I'm sure you know some of them, and I've probably forgotten. Cynthia
Douglas?
Douglas.
Okay.
Cynthia Douglas, yes. Anyway, so we were all singing back then, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, and then at some point, and it might have had to do with me seeing O'Mara Dawson and her group, the Distinctive Friends, because I think she had 9 or 10 or 12, and she was able to do a lot more harmonically, which was always a big deal for me. It was the harmony, and I was like, more voices, more harmony. So at some point, it grew from 5 to 9 and even 12, and became the Symbolic Sounds.
Okay.
And I don't remember exactly what year, but that would have been somewhere around high school, maybe 8th grade, 9th grade, something like that.
When did Mark start singing with you?
See, I knew Mark. I grew up in Huntsville. Mark's father was the pastor of a church in Nashville, and we knew the Kibbles, and occasionally would go to Nashville. We'd see them, or vice versa, but we weren't always in the same city. But I do remember Mark and I, like, we used to do concerts together when we were like 13. But that wasn't really the group. It was just
Right.
the two of us, like me playing for him playing for me, and we're doing the trade-off thing. We did a couple of concerts.
The parlor
but
tricks, yes.
Joining the group, I don't remember exactly what year, but at some point he came down to Huntsville and joined the groups. But I'm just losing track of the exact time when that happened. Yeah, I've lost track.
Okay. So then for me, again, I've known Symbolic Sound since 1980 when I got to Oakwood.
Okay.
And that's when I joined the group.
Okay.
And I kind of go back and forth with what was my first song that I learned, so I can't really remember. It may have been, I have a song that Jesus gave me. If it's from heaven or from hell. Yeah.
Melody of Love.
Melody of Love. I
Right.
think that was the first song that I learned in the group. I was hooked, man.
Yeah.
I was like, this is
Did
what
you
I
ever
want to
sing
do.
that? When I listen, I have a lot of this stuff on cassette, and sometimes I listen to
Wait
it.
a
and
minute.
I'm just,
Wait. Do you have the cassette?
I don't know which
The
one.
one
Is
we did a cassette where we did like 12, 13, 14 songs in Moran Hall. We did it over the course of like
I may.
an afternoon. Merv,
I may.
that's gold, buddy.
I'll look.
That's gold.
I'll look. When
That's
I get
gold.
home.
Man,
But I listen to some of those things, and I'm just like, oh
Really?
my God, these are
Do you cringe?
I cringe. I'm like, what was I thinking? But we were learning. We were learning.
Right.
What works and what doesn't work.
Right.
There was a
So
terrible
I might not
song
want
that
to hear it. So I might not want to hear it.
I'm sure most of it is okay.
Okay,
But I'm sure
okay.
there were a few clunkers. Like I was just, as you were describing, I was just thinking, I don't know if you ever sang this song called "The Nine of Us," because there were 9 in the group, and I wrote a song called "The Nine of Us."
No, man.
The
No.
9 of us, we are not here. Whatever it was. Oh my God, it's awful.
No, it wasn't me.
Okay, I'm glad.
No, I must
I'm
have been the
glad
type of person.
you weren't subjected to
Yeah.
that. But yeah, we had a lot of, we were.
It happens, man.
We were refining our craft.
Yes. Early on.
All right.
We were
Early
kids,
on.
and we were refining.
Well,
our
it paid
crafts.
off.
It did.
Right.
It did. So, okay, a special blend. Come on, man. Where did it come from?
special
Where did the
blend.
brainchild of that group come from? And how did you decide what people were going to be in the group?
Okay. Well, I believe that a special blend was formed because that represented a downsizing from the Symbolic Sounds, and that's because when I became a freshman at Oakwood, and I was like a year behind you, right, or so roughly. When I became a freshman at Oakwood, I wanted to join the Aeolians, directed by Alma Blackman, whom I mentioned earlier. It was a big deal. It was a very, very select choir, and they toured all over the world. And, I had always wanted to do that. So I joined the group. But Alma had this rule. Do you remember this?
Yo, yes,
Alma
brother.
had this rule that members of the group could not be in extracurricular groups. Members of the choir
Yes.
could not be in extracurricular groups that numbered more than 4.
Yes.
Couldn't be in anything.
That's why I didn't
larger
sing
than
in the
quartet.
Aeolians.
Right. That's why you and Mark didn't
Mark,
sing.
that's right.
The Aeolians. I think Mark joined later on
Right.
briefly, but so I really wanted to be in that choir, but I really also wanted to continue doing my stuff. So I downsized the group. I downsized to a quartet, which technically was an exception because there were 4 of you singing and I was at the piano.
Right.
And then if you wanted to, we had a bass player and a guitar player and a drummer. So that really, but technically the group was a quartet. So she let us kind of slide. And she acknowledged that later on. She goes, I really let you slide doing that because there were 5 of you. I'm like, yeah. So that's why
Breaking
I
the
did
rules.
that. That's
Breaking the
why,
rules.
That's why. Now, I literally do not remember the process of informing people. There were 12 people in the
Right.
Symbolic Sounds. I don't remember going to anybody and saying, "Hey guys, I got to downsize." I don't remember that ever happening. It had to happen, but I don't remember it.
And you know what? As you're saying that, I'm trying to remember now who the original girls were in a special blend. Was it Michelle Maine or
Michelle Maine, who is in Los Angeles now,
Yes.
was one of them. Now, I don't
Okay.
remember the order.
Right.
I remember different people. Michelle Maine was in the group. Andrietta Huff.
Right.
Of course, later, Lori Bryan and Joya Foster, who were the last female members. There might have been a couple. Oh, Sherry Pelham Remember Sherry Pelham?
Well, yes, I do remember Sherry Pelham. let me clarify.
Here we are on
though.
the radio just talking about random people.
Yeah, let me clarify. Sherry Pelham is a young lady, and I'm going to look directly into the camera.
Let me bring a close up in on you.
Was let's just say quite beautiful. Quite beautiful. She's legendary around the Huntsville, Alabama area. Now, I never dated her or made advances toward her, but I tell you what, she was so good to look at. Okay,
She was very
back to
pretty.
yes,
She was
back to
very
the
pretty girl. That is hilarious.
Yes.
Wow. And there might have been, one or two others, give or take, but that's 5 right there we came up with.
Right.
But yeah, I don't remember like.
So I guess it was always kind of gonna be Mark and I as the guys, though.
They were never. Yeah. Yeah, because by the time when I was a freshman, you were a sophomore, you were already here. So that would have been 81. I was class of 81.
Right.
So you were already here. And when I downsized, there was no question that it was going to be you guys. And I don't remember how I selected the girls, but.
Well, I tell you what, we did a custom project in, I want to say, was it 84 now? Or was it 85?
Now, are you talking about the actual album or the
album,
demo that preceded the album?
No, the album.
The album was 84.
Is it 80?
Or 83 or 84?
83, 84.
Yeah.
And we did that in Nashville, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And, man, groundbreaking. Groundbreaking. It was kind of backbreaking, too. We had some interesting times. Yeah.
We were all full-time students.
Yes.
And we'd finish our classes at whatever it was, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. We'd hop in somebody's car and drive to Nashville, which was 2 hours away, and get there at 7 or 8, and then we'd record for a couple of hours, 2-3 hours, and then at 11 or something, we'd hop back in the car and drive back to Huntsville.
Oh, yeah.
Because we had classes the next morning.
Oh, yeah.
And it sounds absolutely insane as I talk about it, but that's what we did for weeks.
But we were young. You can do that when you're young.
And resilient.
That's right.
Yes.
Now I can barely get up, to go to the gym sometimes, let alone drive 2 hours and go and sing and drive back and sing again. No, I wouldn't do
man,
it. I'd have a chauffeur
crazy
now.
Stuff. That's right.
That's right. Or a trainer to drive me.
But does exercise help you sing?
Yes, absolutely, John.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Although I've just been informed that I can't sing at all.
Oh, please, let that go. That's one person against 5 million.
But it's
Does she know how many Grammys you have?
I didn't tell her. I just thought it was so hilarious. Yeah.
That's very humble of you.
Dude, it was hilarious to me. I literally was sitting at my computer, like, my mouth was on the floor. I was like, is she being serious?
Yeah, you got to ask Dr. Shirley about that because she talked about that on one of her shows about how we always look at the negative versus the positive.
Right.
Our mind just
I'm
right
scarred
to it.
now.
Like what can we do to make that turn a negative to a positive? So yeah.
All right, Merv. So now we're at the Alliance days.
Mm-hmm.
I know I started the quartet. Mark comes into the restroom, adds a fifth part, becomes the principal arranger of the group, then brings you in, but I don't remember how that happened. Do you remember how all of a sudden you joined the group?
I remember bits of it. I mean, and Mark and I, for years, had immersed ourselves in the Singers Unlimited and the high-lows and that whole thing. And again, the more voices you have, the more you can do. And of course, Mark is crazy, and I mean that in the best possible way. Musically, a genius, crazy.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. And 5 parts was not enough.
Yes.
He needed 6.
And
so, and he liked you guys, and he made his way in. And then I just remember him telling me, "Dude, you got to hear. Listen, we need you to come." And he just come. And I guess you guys had a rehearsal. He said, "Just come. And so I guess I just went." And I don't think
Who does that?
Kids do.
He just brings a friend.
I was like 17.
Brings a friend to rehersal.
And
He joins the group.
Says he's going to be in the group.
Do you know?
That's great.
You know how that would not go over now.
I know.
Who does that?
I know, right? Wow.
Sitting in somebody's dorm room. Yeah, he's in the group now. What?
But yeah,
That's basically what
that's
happened.
basically what happened. He needed 6 voices, and he's like, "Come on, I need you. We need you to do this." I said, "Okay." So I went, and I just, and yeah, I don't remember any formalities, or I don't remember the details of the conversation or the introduction.
Right.
That's just kind of how it happened, and then boom, there it was.
That is funny. I figured I would ask you because I was thinking about it. And I was like, I don't really remember how Merv got into the group.
Yeah.
Just like I don't remember how I got into Symbolic Sound.
Right.
You know, things just happen through osmosis. Hey, how you doing today? Sing. You know,
It's all about relationships.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Man. So
It's pretty remarkable. I'll just add. I mean, I have a pretty good memory, and I astound myself with some of the things I remember. But like anyone else, we're all at the point, you know, or we all get to the point where there's just not room for every
Every
little
detail.
factoid, every little. There's certain things that are just
Sure.
gone.
I
They're
understand.
just gone.
gone.
Yeah.
Gone. That doesn't sound good.
Welcome to 50.
Yeah. I got a birthday coming up. So I'll have to change my hashtag to fit at 52.
And when's that birthday?
October 2nd. I accept gifts, money, and just not insults. No insults on my birthday. I'm making a big deal out of it, John. I don't care. I mean, so what? I can't really sing. I mean, whatever. Who cares? Who cares? I don't care, John.
Oh.
I don't care. So, Merv.
Yes.
Okay, now you're in the group.
Mm-hmm.
And you were with us for the first 2 albums.
Mm-hmm.
The debut album, which didn't really have a name, even though people want to call it Doobie, Bop, Bop, whatever.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's just Take 6. Yeah.
And then So Much to Say.
Yes.
And then you left the group after that. I want to get into just a few things, and then I want to talk about our most recent joining back together, which was really, really cool. Your time in the group.
Yes.
What I remember is we did the showcase in Nashville, and it was basically a Special Blends showcase. If you think about it, Take 6 or Alliance at the time was the opening act. But as it were, Alliance, Take 6 ended up getting the record deal from Warner Brothers Records. It was an interesting situation, and I'll just say this out loud for me because I was in both groups
Right.
in that sense. And I guess to a certain degree, because I had started Alliance Take 6, it was my group in quotation marks. I always wondered, and I am going to put you on the spot a little bit here, how you felt or feel the way that all transpired. Because quite honestly, and I'll say this out loud, and I'll say this to anybody, A Special Blend was the more accomplished group. It was the better group as far as rehearsal was concerned. I think the sound was more polished and everything. But I will also say that maybe Alliance Take 6 got the deal because we were probably at that time more unique,
That's exactly what it was.
you know?
Yeah.
So I understood that, but I always wondered how that felt for you because A Special Blend was your baby.
Right. Right. You know, that's a very good question. And I remember feeling slight disappointment, but it wasn't as acute as you might think, because like you, I was in both groups.
Right.
So even though the group that I had founded and that was quote unquote my group didn't get the record deal, I still got a record deal.
Right. Nah.
Well,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still got, and I had that conversation with Jim Ed actually, because you know Jim Ed Norman. I'm sorry, I have to explain to people. Jim Ed Norman, who was the then president, was he the vice president?
He was the president.
He was the president of Warner Brothers in Nashville, and he's the one who signed Take 6 and was responsible for our for
Meteoric rise.
meteoric rise.
That's right.
So, and he was at that showcase, and a number of people, you know, were, and he said that he loved both groups. He said that he loved both groups. He said what we want to do is, he says we want to do one at a time. And he said to me, he says both groups are fantastic. Take 6 is a little bit more unique. And he says we'd like to try that, but we still want to retain the option to do something with the other group. Now, was that just was that a political answer? Who knows?
See, I've never
You know,
heard that. That's
Oh,
very
okay.
interesting to hear you.
Yeah,
bring that up.
And and we love Jim Ed. We saw him recently. Was he was that just was that a political answer, doing his job? Was he being savvy, shrewd?
Right.
I don't know, and it doesn't on a certain level it doesn't matter. I felt bad. I felt bad that that the girls got left out. I certainly did, and when I think about it, I still do. But as you know, we were thrust onto a roller coaster.
Yes.
That that
people
did
don't realize.
not-
We did the showcase. We literally got signed the next day. 20 days later, we were in the studio recording.
Right.
We basically moved to Nashville. All the guys who didn't live in Nashville were crashing at our place because Mark, Merv, and I lived together. And I mean, it was the Brady Bunch for real.
Yeah. And I had just finished our master's degrees at Alabama, and we didn't really even know what we were going to do next. We were both credentialed to teach, which is what he's now doing. And my parents were concerned, well, what happens if you don't get, if this doesn't work for you, and if that doesn't work, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I can always teach. And I finished the master's, and I was getting ready to start sending out resumes or doing whatever I had to do to prepare for the fall. And then we did the showcase and got a record deal. So instead of getting my master's and getting a job, I got my master's and got a record deal with weeks later, and never had to pursue that other angle.
That's great.
And it was a roller coaster. And yes, I wanted the other group to participate in that. But we got thrown on that thing, and we were recording, and we were traveling, and we were appearing, and we were performing, and we were everywhere.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And there wasn't a lot of time to sort of sulk.
Well, just to jump on the A Special Blend wagon, the album was re-released. Was it a year ago?
Yeah, about a year or two ago.
Yeah, so you can buy that. It's been remastered and everything. There's a new song on there that Merv wrote and worked and whatnot, and so you can get it on iTunes. And where else can they get it, Merv?
It's I believe it's exclusively on iTunes.
Okay.
Yeah, and by the way, just to remember when you asked me about the album, and I asked you, did you mean the album or the demo? Because we had done a full album, or we had done an album of demos.
Yes.
We did 10 songs, and they were demos, and they were sort of better than the average demos, but they weren't quite good enough to be released. That's what I pulled from for this extra song. We had tried to get together and record something that was working out with schedules, and so I took one of those demos and I just futzed with it, and I added some stuff, and I added a couple of verses, but then the group comes in, but it's literally you guys singing from back then, from when we were like 18. 17.
Wow. 18.
Yeah.
I could sing back then, John.
You still can. Don't look at, I'm not the one that said that. That was that woman.
John, you sure it wasn't you, man?
It was not me.
Masquerading. Man, you just wanted me to sulk here on the radio.
Not at all.
Okay. All right. So we've come through the Special Blend time period. We've come through the beginnings of the Take 6 period with the 2 albums that you worked on. It's interesting because I'm going to go quickly into something that I just thought of literally this morning, and it's because I was online checking out a page on Facebook called Take 6 Universe. And it's a bunch
like an
of
unofficial
yes,
page? Okay.
Yeah. It's a bunch of people who were on the old Take 6 message board from back in the day. So they have a lot of really great conversation, and every once in a while I'll jump in there and I'll either throw something out there because maybe they've taken a slightly wrong turn, or I need to just kind of bolster their information with information that I have because, I might know a little bit more.
Right.
Right. But I was thinking about something because they were saying that over the years, the sound of the group has changed here and there. And a lot of people really, really respect your arranging talents and what it is you brought to the group, especially obviously early on. And people were saying, well, after Merv left, we weren't quite as jazzy anymore and other things. And they really, really love your arrangement. I was thinking about something, and I wrote something to them. I was saying, well, Mark was pretty much charged as the principal arranger, and the sound of Take 6 actually comes from Mark. But we had incredible arrangers in the group, yourself and Dr. Cedric Dent and others of us in the group who had really great arranging ideas and stuff. And I was thinking about the fact that how many groups in history have had more than one arranger in the group? That's
Probably
almost unheard of. And someone was writing something about the fact that, Merv probably left with bad blood and this and that one. And I wrote, you know what? No matter what the situation was, you have to understand that we all had very, very strong musical personalities.
Right.
And it was inevitable at some point that somebody was going to leave the group. You would have to.
Right.
Because it would be very challenging for all the other things that you wanted to do to all be done within the confines of this one group.
Right.
You know, usually with one arranger, it's his vision, it's whatever he wants to do, and he's working that out through his group. You know, so I just wanted to throw that out for people who are listening, and also to you, that I had never really thought about that till this morning. You know, because for us it was just kind of like, yeah, well, Merv's gonna do an arrangement today. Mark's doing this one. Cedric's doing this one. That's just the way it worked with us.
Right. Right.
You know, so it wasn't really a question, more an observation, just to kind of, while you're here, throwing it out there and see if you wanted to add anything to that narrative. You know,
You're that's absolutely correct. You know, it was I mean, it was phenomenal to even have that. Well, first of all, not even just the arrangers, but just the talent that everybody in the group had, and they often overlapped, but it was just it was an amazing group, you know, of guys to be a part of. So much talent in one room. But yeah, we all had other things that we wanted to do, and Take Six was we were very, very busy all the time, and that was, all that stuff was fun. All that stuff was fun, but I think, you know, we all, to some extent or another, had other things that we wanted to do as well, and it's you know, impossible to do it all. Impossible to do it all. So
Impossible to do it all.
Yeah.
Sounds like the reunion album. Impossible to do it all, except right now. Speaking of that, so a few months ago, all 8 of us were together on stage. We were in Nashville, Tennessee for the Gospel Music Association Hall of Fame. And I'm telling you, Merv, and everybody within the sound of my voice, that was the most fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Oh my goodness. It wasn't just the fun of being on stage for the actual show. It was that afternoon, the rehearsal, hanging out in the dressing room.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was electric. It was seriously electric. You would have burnt up if you just walked in the room and didn't know what was going on. You'd have wondered what just happened to you. And it's interesting because I know Michiko Matsura, who was there, who's a longtime fan of ours, has video footage of it. And I'm sure she'll get it to me at some point. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Probably nothing,
right?
You know.
Right.
But it was just so cool because we just started all just singing songs that we knew that we had learned 100 years ago,
right? And
just jumping back into the parts. And Merv is remembering 89% of whatever, and I can't remember that much. I'm like, what kind of brain is this over here? You know, so dude, that was fun.
It was fun. That was a lot of fun. It certainly was.
Man, it was good seeing you there. It was good having Ced there with us. And
Ced is so funny. I hope he doesn't mind me telling this. Hey, but, you know, he's a jokester, so
yes.
I'm not taking this seriously. But when I saw him that night at the little banquet, you know, he said, man, I told them, well, if Merv comes, I'll come. He goes, but I was thinking you would never come. So now you came, so now I'm in doo-doo because I had to come. So that's my fault?
That's funny. That is it.
That's so sad.
He's
such a clown.
That was funny.
That was funny.
Well, you know what, Merv? We weren't sure you were going to come.
Oh,
so when you
I never hesitated.
when you said yes, we were like, oh, okay, we got to do this now. You know? And it was the most incredible time. And I mean, honestly, just for the fans who have wondered here and there and whatnot, I mean, obviously when you're younger and you're going through things, and especially with groups, I don't care what kind of group, it could be 2 people, it could be 20 people, there are always going to be communication issues. There are always going to be things that are left unsaid. There are going to be things that people wonder about, even within the group, you know? And so to many years later to come back together, it's like a cathartic event.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
yeah, I mean,
it's just like, it's like a reunion, you know. It's
absolutely.
it's like family. I spent more time with you guys than anyone aside from my actual immediate family.
Absolutely.
So it's just like it is a reunion, but I mean, it's like a family reunion. You just, you know, you remember all the good times, and you know, and you have another good time. So,
right. And you try to, you know, minimize those bad times. We had bad times. Again, I'm looking directly into the camera. You always have bad times too.
I thought that was the camera. What
that's your camera.
This is yours.
See, I got the bigger,
This is right there.
the bigger,
Okay.
better camera
Yeah,
for you
okay.
because you're so much more
This
beautiful than
looks
me.
like Anyway, we think out of a movie.
And they're critiquing in the chat room
War of the
too about the
Worlds.
camera angles and all that stuff.
Oh, really?
So I'm
Oh.
definitely on it. And they were also asking if you want to take some questions because we're
Yeah,
coming
you
up
know,
on
that's
the
what I
end.
was about to say,
Yeah.
is that we're running at that point where I'd love to take some questions from the chat room. I'm going to have to let you do it, John, because
Okay, sure.
my iPad isn't picking it up.
Yeah.
So what do we have here?
Well, we have one person who wants to call in and ask a question, and then the other thing, they're making comments too. One, I think it's Julio, is asking if Merv will become a member of Take Six Universe. Do you know what that?
Oh, is
that's
that the
that's the
website that you
that's
were
the
describing?
Facebook page I was talking about. Yes.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
I'll check it out. I'll check it out.
All right.
Today's my first time hearing of it.
That's
All
right.
right.
That's right.
And then the other one's asked a question by phone. Do you want to take it by phone?
Sure.
Okay,
Who
so
is this
I'll have
person?
it- Remember, he called in before
from
from the UK.
From the UK.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'll give him the heads
Absolutely.
up for that.
Okay. Okay.
All
Well, we'll
right.
let him know that he can call in, and
Yep.
in the meantime, until we hear that question, I know my mom's in the chat room because she sent me a text. That's right. She sent me a text a little earlier when I was fumbling over what the name of the group was. She sent me an LOL that basically said "sounds of distinction."
Okay.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
right. So mom is on it.
You know, I've told you this story before. I was in New York, and I went to see a Broadway show. I can't remember what. I think it was. It might have been Hairspray, because my friend Mark Shaman had written the music.
Mm-hmm.
And I flew out there, went to see the show, and at intermission, I'm walking up the aisle to go to the restroom, and I hear Mervyn Warren. And I'm looking around. It was Miss Elaine.
That's
Oh,
right.
okay.
My mom is everywhere.
I thought maybe it was Jennifer Lewis.
Everyone, she's our surrogate mother. Jennifer Lewis would be the next candidate. That would be the next candidate. But no, it was Elaine, and it was wonderful to see her. But just kind of random. I just flew out there. I go to one show, and lo and behold, there she is. It was great to see her. As
She's
always.
checking up on you, man. That's what she does. I'm sure she'll be down at the beach when I ride out there this afternoon on my Harley. Be careful, baby. From the chat room to the beach. I hear you, Mom. So what are they doing in that chat room? Are they
They're enjoying the interview. Definitely.
They're enjoying it?
Yeah.
the Merv is kicking knowledge, man.
Yeah, they're
You
really
know?
enjoying it. Okay, I got your call. Here we go.
All right.
All right, you're on the air. Can you turn down your radio and then go ahead and ask your question?
Hello, is that John?
Yes,
We got you on.
you're on live.
Okay. Hi, Mervyn.
Oh, hello. How are you?
I'm okay. Hi, Claude.
Hello. Tell us your name again so we know who we're speaking with, so we don't have to be mad at you later.
Okay, so it's Damien calling from Manchester, England.
Damien from Manchester, England. Hello. What you
Hi.
got? What you got?
Okay, I've got a couple of questions for Merv. Did you feel a lot of responsibility, pressure on you, as one of the main producers of the Handel's Messiah project, as this was within 2 years of leaving Take Six, and then you went into film scoring? And then while I'm here, I'll ask my second question. What was it like working with Thomas Whitfield on his penultimate album? He referred to you as the ultimate genius in the liner notes, and he was one of the people that the Handel's Messiah album was dedicated to.
Ah, that is correct. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't fully understand your first question. Could you clarify?
Did you feel a lot of responsibility pressure on you as one of the main producers of the Handel's Messiah project? Because you were one of the co-executive producers, as this was just within 2 years of you leaving Take Six.
Did I feel
And,
pressure?
did you-
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I wouldn't call it pressure. I mean, as I sort of alluded to earlier, there were things that I wanted to do that I often didn't have time to do. So after leaving Take Six, what I wanted to do was arrange and produce other artists and continue to do more of that. And then that opportunity presented itself. So I wouldn't characterize it as pressure. It was a great opportunity, and I was flattered to have been asked.
The only reason why I said that was because there was a lot of artists that were you were at the helm of, so early on in your career. That was a big kind of thing that you went into. There were so many mainstream artists. It was like a Quincy Jones, obviously, situation.
Right.
Yeah. So,
I see what you're saying. No, again, I don't want this to sound arrogant, but I was comfortable in that job. That's what I had always wanted to do, and of course, I had the utmost respect for the people with whom I was working, and some of whom I had grown up listening to, that sort of thing. Al Jarreau, and here I am doing an arrangement for Al Jarreau. It was a fantastic opportunity, but again, I didn't it didn't register as pressure, or it didn't register as uncomfortable. I was comfortable with it, and I rose to the occasion.
Cool. So, and what was it like working with Thomas Whitfield? As you know, he referred to you as the ultimate ingenious. So, I
didn't remember. I don't remember that liner note comment, but I'll have to thank him. I mean, he's no longer with us, but
you scored the strings on that last track of his My Faith album.
I did. He was Thomas was a genius, and we all miss him. In fact, he was supposed to do a song of his own on the Soulful Celebration album, but he passed before that happened. And I believe, I hope I'm not misspeaking, but I believe the same happened with Dizzy Gillespie. Because there's another piece in Messiah called "The Trumpet Shall Sound," and I had the idea of doing that with Dizzy Gillespie and Wynton Marsalis. Wynton passed on doing it at all, but we still wanted to do it with Dizzy. But I believe Dizzy passed. I believe that's the time. I know that he is no longer with us. I'm just talking about the timing. I think he passed before we got a chance to record that. But working with Thomas was fantastic. He sang with us on Hallelujah, I mean he was there, but you don't see him in the video because we had a full day of rehearsal. All of those artists were there, and we had been rehearsing for hours. And as you know, Thomas was quite heavy, and after all of those rehearsals, he was unable to stand for the video shoot. So he was in the room, but he was sitting on a chair, which was unfortunate. Had we known, we would have said, sit during the rehearsal and stand later. So he was there, and his voice is on the recording, but we don't see him because he was resting.
Yeah, and by the way, thank you for Total Praise, because I know you did the strings on that Richard Smallwood track, Total Praise.
Yes, I did. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Damien is he's an almanac.
Yes, he is.
He knows a lot more
That's
than...
why I have him call in instead of relay it from the chat room.
There we go.
Because there's so many things to say.
Yeah, he would tell us what we've done.
What I would have loved to have seen would be Mervyn Warren, Kim Burrell, and Thomas Whitfield. That would have just blew my mind.
Well, that would have been a lot of fun. I love Kim Burrell, and perhaps
she was around at that time.
She wasn't, she wasn't well known at the time, but that would have been fun. And thank you. I appreciate.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Damien. We're running out of time here, but we're really glad that you called in again. And I know you wanted to be on last week when we weren't able to have the show.
Yeah,
so
I prepared my questions.
There you go.
Great, thank you.
Okay,
there you go.
Thanks, man.
Okay.
Man, Merv, this has been a wonderful time, and I knew we were going to pretty much run out of time.
We have a couple more. Can I get to a couple more?
Couple more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to know
fine.
when Merv celebrates his birthday in non-leap years.
Oh, that's right.
That's from Osmond.
I celebrate on March 1. My parents started that before I knew, what was going on. But to clarify for people who don't know, I was born on February 29. So I'm one of those weirdos, yeah. Mm-hmm. Leap year baby or leap day baby. People call it different things. And so when there is no February 29, I celebrate on March 1. And to me, that's more logical because my birthday, there's always a February 28. Some people will celebrate on the 28th, and that's their prerogative, but that doesn't feel right to me because it's not that day. It's the next day. Mm-hmm. So that's why I do it on March 1.
Some celebrate the whole month.
Well, that's true. That's true.
You're full on Pisces, right?
I am a Pisces.
There you
of
go.
course, that means nothing, but I'm a Pisces.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's in my world, but all right. And let's see. There's, I think, Nidani? Is Mervyn ever going to release a solo album? We need one.
Oh, we need one.
Mm-hmm.
That is, thank you. I'm very flattered by that.
Or Kidani, sorry. Kidani, I think is how you pronounce it.
It has certainly crossed my mind, but it's never, and a lot of times people think that when you leave a group, that's why. Mm-hmm. You're going solo, and it wasn't. I wanted to write and keep and arrange and produce. Mm-hmm. I will be candid. I actually think that my voice is better now than it was when I left the group, or that is, I have more confidence in my voice now than I did back then. Because when I joined the group, see, these guys were, I spent most of my time at the piano, and I sang because I sort of had to. I taught parts, whatever. But I saw Claude and Mark and Dave and the other guys as being the real vocalists. And then every now and then I would kind of do a little something, but I wasn't comfortable in my skin then.
Right.
Which is why when I left the group, the last thing on my mind was doing an album. But I kept singing, and I sing on things that I produce and blah, blah, blah. And I've occasionally done something here and there. And so then now when people ask me, it doesn't feel as ridiculous as it did to me back then. Back then it felt ridiculous. Now it doesn't.
Good.
I don't know. I might.
All right.
You heard it here
There you
first.
go.
Mervyn Warren's solo record 2015.
That's the exclusive.
I guess, Kickstarter. We'll have a Kickstarter campaign.
There you go.
Sure.
Hey, Merv, I have a question. This might be way out of left field. I hear my theme music coming up, so we're winding up. I was told that at one point, and if you don't want to discuss this or whatever, were you asked on the Quincy Jones record, on the Secret Garden song?
Yes.
Yes, you were going to be one of those four, weren't you?
Quincy asked me to sing on the Secret Garden.
That is an exclusive, ladies and gentlemen. Exclusive. Mervyn Warren was going to be singing with Barry White, James Ingram.
I don't know who the three would have been. I mean, he ended up with, is Albie Sure one of them?
Albie Sure is one of them.
I don't remember.
Yeah, and El DeBarge.
And I'll be honest, there are very, very few things in my life that I regret, and that is one of them. I regret not singing that.
Man.
I certainly do.
I don't think anybody else knew that. Now everybody knows.
Now they know.
Well, thank you, Merv. Thank you so much for being here. We've been hanging out with Claude McKnight. We're going to have you back because we didn't even get into what you're doing now or whatnot.
Sure.
And,
I can come back, no problem.
Man,
goes
that
by
would be great.
Goes by in 5 minutes.
Absolutely. So you heard it here as well. Merv's coming back. Part 2 and 3 and 4. So want to thank John for being
pleasure.
here. Tony
Always.
Sweet for having us. Thank all the listeners. Tell everybody, come out every Sunday afternoon. This is where I'm going to be. I'm headed to the beach now. If you live out here, join me.
They're going
Peace.
to because they're in the chat room.
Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's UBN Radio.